Hello, my name is Thalia Johnson. This is my tech demo for assignment 3. I have made a armor pickup, which acts similar to the weapon pickup, where it is procedurally generated with values for damage reduction, movement speed, HP regeneration, and jump height, and it changes the color depending on its rarity. And when it is picked up, it will play a sound effect, and it will tint the HUD to a different color depending on its rarity. This also works for the enemy character as well. So here we are in game. As you can see in the corners around the screen, there is a bit of a tint because in the HUD I've set an overlay so that depending on the armor, it changes the color of the tint. So currently it's white because we're just using default armor, that's common armor. But if we pick up some other armor, so say this color, we get, it plays a sound, and it changes the color to a purple. And then our movement speed has been changed as well, depending on the armor. Also, jump height is a bit higher as well. So we've also got the health regeneration and the damage reduction for the armor. So as you can see in the details panel, I've currently got current health as being open. If I attack, you can see that usually it deals 20 damage, the bullets from the enemy, but it's only doing a percentage of that damage, as you can see by the decimal places, and it is also going up as the armor is giving health regeneration, and now it is full. So the armor also works with the enemy character. So currently we've got to pick up just in the path, and then if I can go, oh here it is. You'll pick it up and it changes its model's color to the rarity of the armor, and you can see it's walking a little bit faster. In the top left corner, it's taking a bit less damage, and then if I wait a bit, it also regens a bit of health. So here we have the armor pickup code. This is similar to the weapon pickup code that we have done in the labs previously. First off, we have of course the onGenerate function, which just generates all of the variables like the rarity, and then damage reduction, movement speed, jump velocity, and HP regen. And depending on the rarity, it assigns different values to them. It's got the generate random boolean array, which is for generating the array of numbers used in the creation of the rarity, so assigning the good and bad characteristics. Here we've also got the onPickup command, so instead of doing it in the blueprint, this time I did it within code. First, I check which actor picked up the armor, so I tried to cast it to the player, and if it is, then I have to try and set its max walk speed to the movement speed of the armor pickup. But because of a bug in it, you could be sprinting while you pick up the armor, and if it does that, then it means it will think that your sprint speed is your walk speed of the armor. So when you stop sprinting, you'll be slower than you should be. So I added in a variable that just has the walk speed of the player, and if the max walk speed equals the walk speed, that means the player is currently walking. So I just set the max walk speed to the movement speed. But if it's not, that means the player is sprinting. So I set the max walk speed to the movement speed multiplied by the sprint multiplier. So that means it's properly sprinting. Then I get the player's jump velocity and just set it to the jump velocity of the armor. Same with the walk speed as well. I set it to the movement speed just so I know the base movement speed. I set its HP regeneration to the HP regen value. Same with the damage reduction. Then I try and get the player's HUD, and if it gets it, it then changes the HUD color depending on the rarity of the armor by calling the set player armor tint, which is attached, which is a function in the player HUD code. Then I use play sound at location to play the armor pickup sound, and then I destroy it. However, if it's not the player, it will try and see if it's the enemy, and if so, it sets movement speed. I don't have to do the sprint speed thing from before because the enemy doesn't sprint. Then set jump velocity, HP regeneration, damage reduction, and then I will also try and get the mesh of the enemy, so specifically its model, and then I try and change the material of the enemy's model depending on the rarity of the armor, so that the player can then see what type of armor the enemy has. I then play a sound and destroy the pickup. So here we have the armor pickup blueprint. It's also similar to the weapon pickup blueprint, except instead of having the gun model in it, I just put two cubes together just to have it like a simple armor, so it looks like a bit of like so it looks a bit like a t-shirt. But I've also got it so in the code, the variables for the sound and the materials are visible edit anywhere. So I can set the materials in the blueprint and the sound and the materials in the blueprint. I've also have it in the event graph so that in begin play it calls the on generates and then sets the cube colors depending on the rarity of the armor. So here we have the player character code. Currently in the begin play function, I have it so it sets a timer so that every second it calls the health regeneration function. And then in that function, I have it so it gets the current health of the player, and if it's less than the max health, it adds the HP regeneration value, so it begins to regenerate health every second. But it also checks if it's greater than the max health, and then sets the current health to the max health so that then it doesn't overflow the health. So in the enemy character code, I've also made similar changes from the player character code. So in the begin play function, I have it so it sets a timer, so it calls the health regeneration function every second, and then just gets the current health and checks max health, adding health regen, similar to player character. So here we have the player HUD code. This is similar to the code that we've already done in the labs with creating the widgets and stuff. But here I also get the borders that are in the HUD. And then in the set player armor tints function, it goes through all the borders and sets the brush color depending on the parameter from when the function is called in the armor pickup. We go over here. In the health component code, I have edited it so that in the on-take damage function, it will first it will try and get the owner of the component, and if it's the player, it will multiply the damage that the player took by the player's damage reduction, so that then the damage that they actually take will only be a percentage of that. So for example, if the player's damage reduction is 0.8, they'll only take 80% of that damage. And then if it isn't the player, it will just check if it's the owner is actually the enemy. And then first, it will set a variable in the enemy's code just so it works with my previous tech demo, just for changing states and stuff. But the main thing was that it will do the same thing as with the player, where it gets the enemy's damage reduction. And so finally, for my project plan, this demo builds upon assignment 2 because it adds additional things for the enemy to do with it, like acquiring different armor, while also giving the player different ways to evade said enemy, and also giving them damage reduction and so forth. Also, as mentioned in health component code, I've already integrated the two assignments together, especially since I've had to change some of the code to make them fit to get run together. For my project cohesion, I don't have a group partner, so I didn't have to integrate any code with them. Finally, for project 4, I will need to change how the armor pickup works, similar to the weapon pickup that we've done in the lab. I will need to change it so that all of the clients have the same armor that is being generated. So it needs to be stored on the server. I also need to change the HUD to work with just a singular client, like with the health bar lab. I will also need to change how the enemy senses, which I've done in assignment 2. As currently, I believe it only searches for the first player in the world, and so that will be something I'll need to change. And then I was hoping for assignment 4 that I will add it so when the player spawns in, they will either get randomized weapons and armor to take advantage of the armor that I've added in, or I'll have it so I can select a loadout when they spawn in. So it will give them a specific set of weapons and armor that they can choose from, and then when they spawn in, they'll spawn in with those armor. So that was my tech demo for assignment 3. Thank you for watching.